We're talking to S. Rodgers today. She wrote The Divine Draft. It came out a few weeks ago, correct?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks ago. So it's new. Em and I both read it before it actually released, and we just kind of fell in love with it. And we wanted to make sure that we could capture the conversation before it blows up. I don't know. We always want the first on everything. So this is reading between the lines.
My name is Chantel. I do write under the pen name of S.A. Rodgers. I got my start in publishing by actually publishing thrillers under a different pen name. So I've been publishing for about 5 years. And the Divine Draft is my first fantasy or romantic fantasy. And that's where I plan on being for a long while. So it's my debut, so to speak, under the pen name for S.A. Rodgers. And the Divine Draft is about a girl raised in a rebellion who has to be chosen in the draft. And this throws her into a whole series of events of training and battle and forbidden love, which is my favorite.
Ours too.
Yeah. And that's about the Divine Draft.
Yeah, well, I think, Emma, you can speak to it too. Our first, I read it first before Emma.
Okay.
And I was reading through it and I'm like, I love this. This is going to be good. There's going to be some enemies to lovers, forbidden love. Like, I was like, I just know. Like, first right away, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And I remember texting Emma and I'm like, Emma, we need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And from chapter 1, I was
That's a relief.
seriously, I was hooked. I was like, okay, we're jumping in. I'm ready. And the main character, Waverly, that's how it's pronounced, right?
Yeah, Waverly, yeah.
She was really relatable too. And I loved that. And so I just think I definitely would recommend for those girlies out there who like the forbidden love and you need that little enemies to lovers. This is the book for you. So that was my first initial thought of it. Emma, I don't know. I read it before you. I hyped it up for you.
No, I was definitely creating theories after the first chapter about different characters and what's gonna happen next. So yes, like Alexa said, I was hooked. I was in it, ready to see what happened.
Did you get any right with your theories?
I did.
See, here's the thing about Emma is she reads a book after me and she creates all these theories and they're 9 times out of 10 right. And it really pisses me off because I'm like, come on, because I don't know anything. I just read to read it and I'm like, I don't know any theories. So I just was going through the motions, going through the roller coaster reading this book. And then Emma starts reading and she's like, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And I'm like, how do you know this? What?
Yeah, I'm on both sides of the spectrum. I can do both.
Yeah, although I didn't see the ending coming. When that happened, I just had to sit there and for a second and be like, wait, what?
You did text me. I think you were like, I'm looking up into the invisible audience.
Yeah, for real.
What happens next?
Well, that's a relief because I've been terrible at writing endings in the past for my books and writing endings that people don't see coming and plot twists and like that. And this was my first series, so it's my first time attempting a cliffhanger. So it was very well received.
It was a very good cliffhanger.
Yes.
I was like, where's the second book? Wait, this book hasn't even come out yet. Wait, what?
Yeah.
So we're ready for book 2. We will have you back on when book 2 comes out. Just
okay.
Fair warning.
Yeah.
We'll reach out to you again.
I'll be here.
But yeah, so I guess our first question is, because you said that you have written thrillers before.
Yes.
So that's so interesting, which I have more about that. But where did the idea of the Divine Draft come from?
Yeah, so I actually started writing the Divine Draft before I decided I was going to go into thrillers, which was a long time ago. I was 13, maybe. I had just got done reading Divergent, and Vampire Academy and all of the book series that was very popular around that time. Um, and I just decided I wanted to write something where it was kind of like Divergent when it first started. It was you get chosen and then you're thrown somewhere you don't belong and you're failing along the way until you actually become the best or the most powerful. So that was what really captured me about Divergent and really hooked me to those books. And at 13, I was trying to imbue that into what was Divine Draft was originally called Vigorous. So I was trying to put all of that into Vigorous. So Vigorous was pretty much the same. It was a bunch of training leading up to a war though in Vigorous. So we don't have a war in the Divine Draft, but battles per se. But Vigorous was I only got to about 50% before I got distracted and, jumped to another project and then switched to thrillers. Um, so but the idea came from, I was really down in my thriller career and I really wanted to change. I felt like I was losing my identity as a reader, and I was reading a bunch of thrillers, like YA thrillers, but I found reading to be like a chore. It needs to be something I did for fun. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm writing thrillers, but I can't really read them. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I did return. So I read thrillers for about 10 years straight without diverging from that because I was trying to stay true to it as a writer. But my love came from fantasy and dystopian novels. So I decided to go back to there. So I took a break from writing and I went back to a fantasy novel and then I was hooked. I was like, I felt like me again.
Yeah.
And so I decided to start writing fantasy. So this is my first fantasy, my first romantic anything. Because in my thrillers, there weren't really romance subplots or anything like that. That was when I got that idea to start fresh with this new pen name. And the drafting part came from because my dad was a veteran and he was drafted to Vietnam when he was 18. So that's where the draft part came from, was really trying to get into his mindset of where he would have been and just going through that fear and all of the emotions around that time to be the person chosen for the draft. So I kept both of the ideas kind of came together in a modern way. And that's how the Divine Draft was born.
That's really exciting. Like,
yeah.
It's so cool to me to hear like how authors come up with their ideas. And so I think it's cool that you had this idea so long ago.
I did.
And you kind of forgot about it. Kind of went a separate way, but it came back. And so like that it means it was meant to be.
Exactly. That's my thought process going into it. I was like, if it's meant for me to follow my love, which is in the fantasy and romance genres, if it's meant for me to do this, then there's no better project to tackle than the one that I started so long ago.
Yeah. Well, it's super cool that you leaned on like the experience of your dad as well and kind of incorporated that too. And I think that's where the best books come from. The best stories come from reality. So that's just super cool.
I think it's important to add like that personal experience to it because like you know it the best. You could probably write it the best, and then adding like the fantasy romance element like makes it so much better. And those are my favorite books. Like when authors say, "Oh, well, this is like from this part of my life," or, like whatever. Like it just makes it more intriguing, I think.
Yeah, and that was definitely the goal. And I was glad that I was able to change it in that way to really dig deeper and ask a lot of questions. Because he didn't really talk about it that much. But so I went diving for my own answers, so to speak, by stepping into my father's shoes with the draft. Also handling the topic with care, of course, but also putting the fantasy element in it and just making everything come together. But I did want the chosen one, like it's kind of like a reverted chosen one trope. So I did want that to be as emotional as possible. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, my beta readers agreed.
It was emotional.
Yeah.
Did you know how you were gonna end the book, or like what you were gonna put in it, like while before you wrote it, or was it kind of just happened like as you wrote it, you came up with the ideas?
I'd say both. So I did have it outlined before I ever started it because this was something new for me. I never did a fantasy before. I never even wrote a series before. So I was trying to really get it right before I started it. A big fear of mine was wasting time
Mm.
because I wrote thrillers for so long. So I didn't want to go and waste my time at something I would fail at. So I did try to outline it as best as I could. But about, I want to say 50% in, the outline fell apart. And eventually the story kind of started to take its own life. So I don't, it's much different from the outline. Maybe the people say a pips. One or two people in the room were in the outline that came through in the final version, but other than that, yeah, everything about the ending is different. And I'm glad for it because it came through so organically that it did come as a surprise, and readers weren't able to see it coming. So,
Well, I think your characters too, like it was so easy to fall in love with every single one.
thank you.
Even the bad people, like the quote unquote villains or whatever, I was like, I'm very intrigued.
I tried so hard because that was one of my weaknesses, is because I love writing like morally gray or people who do bad things for good reasons. I love exploring that mindset. But a lot of the times, if you miss the depth, then you just write a character that people can't relate to, they hate. So that I was very, very happy with a lot of the character development, like even from the main characters and from the side characters, they even have their own little small arcs as well. So
Yeah, I love when a character is like the quote unquote villain, but yet like I'm like, wait, there's so much more to them. Like, let me know more, and like it makes me want to read the book like 10 times more, and I'm definitely like intrigued more in reading.
It's one of my favorite things ever. It will never get old.
It won't. It really won't. That's why we read it. I mean, honestly. His morally gray character is just so easy to like fall in love with but hate at the same time.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, I hate you, but like I want to know more because I need to know why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. I hate you, but I'm very intrigued by you.
Yeah. Well, and two, like this is not a spoiler, but within the first couple chapters, you meet Waverly's fiance.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know how I feel. Okay, I'm gonna go along with this. Let's just say I like how it ended.
Yeah, a lot of readers have the same consensus. As soon as they met him, they were like, "Okay, I keep my eye on you." Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I was like, I don't want to get into the weeds because I don't want to spoil it, and we can cut it out if it is a major spoil. But I was like, he's gonna come back up. He's not going away. I had a feeling. I was like, I don't know. I feel like you can't just like go away. But we need to find out.
Showed up like in the first chapter. I'm like, this is sus. This never happens. I'm like a little suspicious about this.
You did text me that. You were like, no.
That's everyone felt the same, the exact same way.
I mean, it was like, do I like you? Like, should I like you? Should I not? Like, it was hard because it's like I feel like I should like you. No.
He wasn't a bad guy. He just wasn't good for Waverly.
Right.
And that's where it's okay, maybe I don't like you comes in because we root for, or at least I hope that we were rooting for Waverly. Right.
Right. Well, and yeah, it's her story, and I just wanted her to get everything and need. And I mean, She's getting there. We're working on it.
Just getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah. Well,
Speaking of Waverly, do you have a favorite character that you write, or are you one of the people who are like, oh, I love my characters equally?
No, I love General Zervas. I spent a lot of time in his head and trying to figure him out. So I think that might make me a bit biased. You would think that it would make me biased for Waverly, but no, it's General Zervas. Yeah.
how did you come up with the idea for his character?
It rose from the inspiration behind a ton of different characters. So at the time, I had just finished, I don't know if you guys read this, but it was the Kingdom of Lies series. Um, and that MMC, his name is Lorian. I was just about to blank on his name. Is Lorian. And then we have Zayden from Fourth Wing. And I really loved something about both of them. And I was trying to figure out what it was that I loved. And it was the fact that they had separate lives outside of their love for the FMC. They felt like separate people, like they weren't just existing for this reason, for this purpose. They both had different things going on, and then they'd come back to the FMC. So that was really, he was built from, okay, the world, he's literally trying to save the world, or he has responsibilities in the unit. And so he has just so much going on in his life, and it's so much bigger than Waverly. And that's what makes their connection to me the most special, because it's like an escape for him.
Yeah, that's actually like a really good way of like how I read it. She was the escape. It's the same thing with like Zayden. Like he has all these duties, he has these things he needs to do. But Violet always comes back.
Exactly.
So if you haven't read Fourth Wing, friends, get on it. But no, as soon as he showed up, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is more on the vibe that we're looking for.
Yeah, okay. When she was like saying how like she's scared of him, I'm like, that's the one.
That's funny, because a lot of people thought initially that it would be Xavier, because Xavier stepped up for her and he stood up for her when they were going back to the sectors. So they thought it was Xavier at first, and I was like, oh, is that a bad thing, or is that a bad thing that they don't know that it might be the general?
Well, I think too, like Waverly, because you're in her head, she didn't even know.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I mean, she was figuring out, so we were figuring it out as readers too, of like, what is she thinking? Does she like, because she was still, I mean, her life got completely turned upside down. She was still trying to figure that out. So then too, when there's could be potential romances or whatever, it was her trying to figure that out while also trying to figure out who she was as a person. Yeah, no, I think the characters were really easy to fall in love with, or hate, or both.
Or both. Preferably both.
Preferably both. But I guess like kind of on the same wavelength of writing the characters and how you kind of wrote the book with the outline, but then went off the outline. How did you like sit down and write? Like, did you sit down for like 24 hours and just kind of like write chapter, or did you randomly have ideas and you're like, oh, I need to write that down quick? Or like, how did that kind of process look?
So the outline did change, but I would say the theme and the subplots all stayed the same. So even when I did go off the outline, I didn't know what I would write in the next chapter. I knew that, okay, at this point in the story, Waverly needs to come to this realization. So then I would just go into the scene and craft the scene around that realization. And so to answer the question about like the writing process, I would sit down every single day and try to write at least 3,000 to 4,000 words. So I did 30-minute sprints, and so I would do that for about 3 to 4 hours a day.
Wow. Did you accomplish that every day, or there's some
No.
days?
No, but there was a good sprint of, I'd say I was maybe about to be 50% in. There was a good couple of weeks where I hit it every single day, but that didn't last long.
Along with that, I want to know, since you wrote like thrillers and like you've been writing for years, what's your favorite part about writing?
It used to be the writing part because I had such an active imagination growing up and I've always read growing up. So it used to be the writing part. Like I loved creating random things and make it make sense. But the more that I write and the more that I publish, I find that it is the line editing part. So basically, sentence by sentence editing. So, like to perfect a sentence so much to where you're getting across like a feeling and you're evoking emotion, like that to me is the most favorite part of the writing process because I really get to sit down and think about the intention behind my words and what I want the reader to feel.
That's really interesting.
It is interesting because I feel like that's not a normal answer. Or maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't know. I just came to this realization maybe in the last couple of weeks. I'm like because I am writing book two, so I'm trying to stop my editing brain from going over the same sentence over and over again and keep the story flowing. But I find myself keep going back to the same sentence and wanting to perfect that sentence, and I'm realizing that that's my favorite part is just to make sure that the sentence by sentence line level has the most emotional impact ever.
Well, and how long did it take you to fully write? Like outside of editing, publishing, all that, how long did it take you to write the entire Divine Job?
I did take a break in December, and then I had the whole idea to do a new pen name and start fantasy in December. So I'd say by the end of December, I had an outline and I started to write chapter one. So I really wanted to perfect chapter one first before I went any further. So that took me about a week to write chapter one. And so I decided after chapter one, okay, this is something I want to do. So I finished it in about March or April. So from December to I'd say about April.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
quick.
It feels like so long,
Well, I'm sure.
but it is quick. Like looking back at it, it's very quick. Yeah.
And then after that, you went through editing and publishing and all that stuff, right?
Yes. So that is why it feels so long, is because of how long I edited. So technically, I was done with the first draft by April 2024, but I did my own dev edits and copy edits and beta readers, all the nine, and I wasn't done with that until like June.
Mm.
So, and then I took it to my editor, and I had my editors have it for about a month. And so editing lasted. I didn't finish editing until like September or October.
Wow.
So it was like the majority of the year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And did you self-publish, or because you had already published your other thriller books, what is the other traditional like publishing?
No, I self-published. So all of my books were self-published.
Oh,
I
okay.
did take my thrillers down, but the Divine Draft is self-published. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Mhm.
I feel like
It's
that's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of work.
It is.
What's
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of work, effort, all it. Yeah.
Yeah, like what is the most, like when you're self-publishing, like what do you think is the hardest part of that?
Marketing.
Yeah.
It has to be marketing. Because I'm a book person. I'm not a social media person. So I kind of have to get with the times and really focus on social media more than I quite want or that I would prefer. Like I still don't really know how to use TikTok really. It's embarrassing because this is the my generation. But if I pull up TikTok, I might as well be a 50-year-old woman.
It's okay. I don't go on TikTok. Emma
Mhm.
runs our TikTok for us. I don't have it. I don't even know how to use it.
I have no clue. I posted like 2 videos last week and I'm trying to get into it, but it's a very slow, gradual dive into it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I lose my mind 24/7 when I'm trying to market on TikTok. It's like the right times to post, the kinds of posts, the right people to market. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm primarily more active on Instagram just because I'm not, I mean, even Instagram, I kind of had to get used to, and I'm still figuring it out, like the different types of cool transitions that you can do and everything on Instagram. So I'm still learning, but I'm more active because I would like to master a platform first before I jump to another one and try to market on TikTok and another
right.
and learn a whole new algorithm and all of that. So I'm more active on Instagram, but they're both hard.
I'm sure it is. I mean, I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine having
I
one.
mean, we have problems. There's two of us trying to do it, and we're like, we don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, because it's like I write 120,000 words and then I have to try and pick out the most interesting of that 120,000 words and try to market with that. So that's definitely been the hardest part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you don't want to spoil anything,
Mhm.
but like your best lines are probably like have to do with like the plot majorly.
Exactly. Yeah.
not that we want to talk about the most difficult things, but what was the most difficult thing for you when it came to writing the Divine Draft? Like, was there a specific like character part of the plot or anything like that? What was the most difficult, do you think?
Just staying in the writing zone.
Mm.
I maybe the battle and combat scenes. So I'm used to writing action because I wrote thrillers, but I never said that I wrote action well. So the Divine Graph is really where I had to hunker down and rewrite those scenes over and over again, um, and really perfect those scenes because I had never done anything with daggers or swords or battle or anything like that. So those were the hardest parts.
Hmm.
Did you have to do like research, or did you just like base it off the knowledge you already had from other books or shows you've watched?
I had to do a lot of research. Like I have read a lot of books with a lot of action scenes in them and battle, and because it's the heart of fantasy. But for the life of me, when I'm writing, I cannot remember a thing. So I definitely had to do a lot of research, and it's same thing with like romance scenes or anything like that. I had to hunker down and do a lot of research for those.
Mm. Was it hard writing the romance because you had written only thrillers before? And like, was it like, I know I can do this, I can write it? Or was it like, I need to sit down and really think about this because I have no idea what I'm going to do?
No, I had no idea. And it's weird because I'm a romantic. I love rom-coms
Mm.
and I love love. So it was really weird to step out of thrillers and do like, I don't want to say a love story because it's a lot more than that, but I love the way that love stories make me feel. And that is the what I wanted a reader to take out of the Divine Draft as well, is to make them feel something. So
Yeah.
I had to do a lot more research than typical, and I had to really focus on those scenes since it was my first time. I I'm trying to think if I ever wrote a kiss scene or anything like that prior, but I don't think I had. So
Huh.
it was all new.
Wow. Well, that's good.
But
I'll
thank
let you.
you.
I, when it finally happened, I was like, I can't eat this up fast enough. Like, I am like, I was in the zone and I'm like, I can't get out of it. This is so good. So if that is a testament to how you wrote it, I want to let you know it's really good.
Thank you. I had to rewrite it many, many times because those were the most important things to me as well,
Yeah.
given what I wanted the reader to take out of it. So I really had to pay extra close attention to those and give them TLC.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and do you think, well, will there be more future books?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes. So the Divine Draft is a romantic fantasy, but I wanted to write it as a romantasy. So I wanted it to be equal parts romance and equal parts plot
Yeah.
and all of that. But just the way, like I said, I kind of went off the outline and I did what felt natural.
Mhm.
So just the way that it ended up wrapping up the first book is more of a romantic fantasy, but I want the other books to have more romance in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the slow burn was slow burning with the two characters.
Oh my gosh,
When
it was.
that happened, I was like, I screamed. I was like freaking out.
Thank you. And it's really interesting to do a slow burn and a forbidden love because then that kind of feeds off each other. So even in book two, there could still be a certain element of slow burn just because of how forbidden everything is.
I want more.
Me too. I'm only 35% into book two, so I'm just discovering as I go along.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Does it just like all of a sudden like pop up? You're like, oh yeah, there's gonna be something.
I did outline book two, but I'm not sticking to it. I want
Anything
to.
Anything can
It-
happen.
It's just natural. I'm just letting it flow.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good way to go about it.
Yeah, and I find that when I try to outline, it really sucks. Like what I what I put down to happen really sucks, and I'm like, so when I'm writing, I'm like, it would be so much better if this happened instead. So that's where the striation comes from.
Gotcha. Well, because we're kind of on that vein. How many books are there going to be in this series, or do you not know yet?
It's so originally it's outlined as a 5-book series.
Oh, okay.
But I have such a short attention span for series. I'm starting to discover. And so I had to re-outline it as a trilogy.
Okay. So will
So
the next two be a little bit longer then, do you think?
the second book will probably be a lot longer and it'll probably have a lot more action packed into it since that is technically the climax of the series. So it will probably be more action packed too.
Gotcha. Do you know how you want the entire series to end?
Yes, I'm very excited to write. I'm excited to get to. So I do know how the entire series will end. I just don't know how I'm gonna get there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you write in chronological order, or do you just write like random chapters whenever you think about it, like chapter 1 to chapter 6 or something?
No, I write in chronological order. My brain, I am very OCD, so a lot of things can't really be out of order. So the way that my brain works, like a lot of writers, they would write and they won't finish a scene and they'll keep going just to get a story on the page. But I find it very hard for me to do that, to keep going, not knowing, like it's a gap in my memory from this scene here. And so it's something supposed to be there. So I'm kind of held back by keep thinking about what I didn't write then. So it's very chronological. And I try to at least write about 70% of what I know is going to stay. And then whatever I end up adding or taking away is the 30%.
I don't know. Like, if you know how it's gonna end, I would just want to go and write it.
I want to, because like I said, I'm really itching to get to the last book. But like I said, it's so many gaps in between from here and then the ending to where my brain, it wouldn't be able to comprehend it, even a good ending. It will probably need to be completely rewritten by the time I got to it.
So I'm so interested in book 2 though. Not that you need to write faster, but maybe.
It is supposed to come out this year.
Oh my gosh, what?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out this year. I am trying to get a deadline of a certain date of when I'm going to be done writing, but I'd say like August or September. Arcs are supposed to be going out. So
Wow.
yeah.
So we don't have to wait long. Yay.
No, I'm hoping not. So like I said, book one took a very long time in edits, like maybe 6 months plus. So I'm trying to still write a quality book and produce a quality book without it taking that long. So that's a long time.
So after book 1, after like all the edits and stuff, do you reread it like afterwards to make sure it's good? And if so, like how many times do you reread it?
So the Divine Draft I had to reread more times than I could count. Especially after edits, which was annoying a little bit. Because even the week before release, I think the 2 weeks before release, I had to reread it again. And I still kept finding things that I wanted to change or tweak, or like words I wanted to change to be simpler. Um, or sentences that I was like, how did the sentence get past me and six editors? So even right up to before release, I was still making changes.
Mm, that's crazy.
It was
But I
very
guess,
stressful.
well, I'm sure. And I'm sure you got sick of it almost.
I did. So I'm trying to do something different for book two, to where I'm not rereading it over and over and over again. And then the week before release, still doing the same thing and still patching things. So I'm trying to approach it differently for book two, so I can kind of save a lot of time as well, because the rereading part and rereading did cost a lot of time, and it was part of the reason why edits took so long.
Yeah. I just couldn't imagine like rereading it over and over. Like it's so good, but like I feel like as somebody is like, like this is my baby. I put all the time into it. I'm so sick of it though. Like
I'm so sick of it.
done and out. And so I'm sure like it's weird even for you right now to be like talking about it.
No, I like to talk about it, but to reread the whole thing is a different story.
Yeah. I'm sure you're just like, I want people to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now people do. And I literally, it's on my list of like, I need the second book. There's like a list that we have, like, a list of series, or like, we need the next book. This is one of them.
Thank you.
We're like, we just need to know what happens next. Unfortunately, it sounds like we'll have to wait a little bit to have full satisfaction ending. But that's okay. We can wait. We can survive.
Just a couple more months yet.
Couple more months. I guess another question that I had for you is, what was something, if anything, there could not be, but was there anything that you regretted, like, or something that you look back and are like, I wish I could take that back within the story or within the book?
Yes. So the whole like seven sins thing. So it's an interesting idea. It's a very interesting concept, but I feel like the story could have been just as strong without it as well. So towards the end of edits, I was really trying to make the seven sins matter, because otherwise there was no reason to even put it in the book. So I did try to mention it a lot more, have Waverly be a lot more observant as to, oh, I see based on the way that you're acting that you're from here. So I did a lot of more of those scenes with Waverly really picking and choosing of who came from where. And well, it's not a spoiler per se, it could change, but so to make it make sense of why I explored the seven sins in the first book, it's gonna matter a lot in the third book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or at least it's planned to matter a lot.
Okay. I liked it right away. I was like, ooh, this is
It's
kind
very
of,
interesting.
it was, because there are a lot of books where it's like, where did they come up with this name, or why did they come up with this concept for cities or the peoples, the divisions, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, where does that come from? So I feel like in this book, it was like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, that's good. Like, you know, you want to like, I mean, we don't really knit books, we just read them because it makes us happy. But you can tell sometimes where like things are dropped, or like you don't really fully understand why something is put in until later. So I think even a little bit in the first book, we know why the seven sins are there, but I feel like there's a lot more to be discovered.
There is. So there will be delved a lot more. I'll delve a lot more into them in the third book, but it kind of becomes irrelevant. That's why I was kind of like, oh, I hate that I wrote it that way, because it becomes irrelevant because she's taken from the sectors, and then she spends all of her time in Orlan and in the district. So this, and then here people don't have sins. right? So sins kind of go out the window.
Yeah, right. Right.
But it was interesting how she didn't call her parents like her parents. I can't remember what the names were, but I found that very interesting. Like in the Greek setting, like they were something else.
Yeah, they were the heads
Yeah.
of self-guided. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really
Smiling like there's something that we don't know yet.
I don't know.
I feel like there's gonna be more to that storyline, and that's what I'm really intrigued by because I'm like, there's something here.
Mhm. There is more in book 2 about the self-guided. I don't know. We we will see.
There's a lot that we don't know yet,
Mhm.
but a lot that we're excited to discover.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And same.
You're like,
Same.
I'm ready to discover too, and I'm writing it.
Yeah.
Well, what was your favorite thing? I know you've talked about it, like your favorite things kind of already, but what was your favorite thing other than getting the book finally released? What has been your favorite thing with the Divine Draft?
Yeah. Other than it releasing finally, like I said, it's very tiring to reread it over and over again. So I was happy just to get it out of my hands.
Mhm.
But maybe seeing the cover for the first time in print or seeing the map for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was very interesting, especially to see it in print as well was amazing. I think I'll have the map as my screensaver for a very long time.
Did you create the map yourself, or did you have help with it?
So I drew the drew the outline of the map. And initially, the plan was to make the map myself, but after a couple of weeks, I was failing, and I was like, "I'm wasting time here." So I did hire someone to help me create the map and really just make it professional. I could have put mine in there, but I'm very nitpicky. So
Yeah. Same thing with the cover too. Did you have help with designing the cover?
I did. Bianca from Moon Press Designs helped me with the cover. Um, Initially, I was supposed to do that myself as well because I do have a background in, well, my background is really in web design, but it's been bleeding into graphic design. So I really wanted to try to create my cover myself, but especially after, so I had someone else to do my cover in November, but then that fell through. So I was like, maybe this is a sign that I should do it myself. So in December, I was trying to create my own cover the entire month of December and failed miserably. And it was gonna release in February. So, and I still didn't have a cover. Arcs needed to go out. So it was really crunch time. So I didn't have a cover until January.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, that was very stressful.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I was supposed to do the cover myself. It didn't work out. So Bianca helped me out with my tight time frame.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the map, that was really cool. So the fact that, I mean, obviously you're writing it, you know what everything looks like, but to have a map,
Mhm.
have that in your brain, like outline it is crazy for me. I have no idea how you did it.
I don't either because the funny thing is I'm actually trying to work a little bit at a time on my series after this. And so I'm starting from square one for that. And I'm like, how did I come up with a map and like mapping stuff out? Yeah, I don't know how I did it either. I guess I'm gonna stumble along it along the way. I, that's the only way that things get done. It's just to find out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I love the cover. It's so pretty. And I'm one of the people that like I'm not gonna buy an ugly book. Like I judge a book by its cover. Like if I don't like the cover, I'm not buying it. But I really, really like the cover.
Thank you. Yeah, I was very proud of it, and it had a couple of variations, and I'm very proud or glad that I did not publish or go with the other ones and went with this one. It really feels like it encapsulates the story and really it just feels like it was meant for the book.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I think covers have importance, obviously, because you can't spoil anything in the cover. But a lot of the time, like one of our favorite series, Dark Glass, if you look closely, a lot of the covers have exactly what the book is about.
And sometimes there are Easter eggs and things hidden in them, which are my favorite parts. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, one last question. Well, actually, no. I have another question, then I'll ask it. Sorry.
Okay.
But so you have the Divine Draft. You have this trilogy that you're gonna write. After that, do you think you're just gonna stay on the romantic fantasy line? Or are you gonna be done writing? Like, what does the future look like after that?
After that, I'm definitely staying in the space. But like I said, the Divine Draft is more like a romantic fantasy, and I really, really am dying to delve more into fantasy romance or the romanticy side of things. So like more romance. So more so like a love story, but set in a fantasy world versus the fantasy world kind of overpowering the love story. And so that's my plan to pivot towards in the future.
Okay. And do you have ideas down the line?
Of what it's gonna be next.
Yeah, like do you know like series or like book ideas, or is it I just know that I want to go there?
No, I do have a book idea. I've been trying to outline it. I have been failing on timelines. As far as outlining, like I was supposed to be done world building and outlining like 2 weeks ago. But I do have an idea. I have a faint idea of what it's going to be.
Okay.
And it's also a standalone.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll release that after the Divine Draft series is completely done, or are you going to release it like in between like book 2 and book 3 or something?
It'll be after.
Okay.
Like I said, my brain works in a very chronological way. So while I am working on that project in between time, it's definitely going to be after.
Yeah. Well, I guess one last question, and you don't have to tell us anything if you don't want.
Okay.
But I know we kind of already talked about it. You kind of already told us that it's gonna be a trilogy, but what should we be looking forward to most?
This is not a spoiler, but this is something that's very exciting to look forward to. We have to go back in for another draft in book 2 for reasons, you know, which reasons we have to do that for.
Oh,
interesting.
So we'll be back in the sectors, touring the sectors for another draft in book 2.
I want to like dive into your brain and like I want to know like what is the name of book 2? What is the name of book 3? But I know that like you don't want to share. You don't have to.
I can share the name of book 2 and 3. So book 2 is called The Divine Cost, and book 3 is called The Divine Order. If that gives you any ideas of what those 2 books are going to be about.
Very mysterious, and I love it.
Yeah.
My brain is going on like overdrive right now, trying to figure it out. I am very intrigued now. I mean, I was intrigued before about book 2, but I think like I'm excited for the world building, and I'm excited to see Waverly's relationships, plural, continue and evolve,
and see where they go and how they happen.
Yes, with a little smut in there too. So
yeah,
as there always needs to be.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we do too. What is your favorite book or series that you've read?
Okay, all-time favorite will be the Vampire Academy series.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my all-time favorite. And I was actually considering going back to reread those as an adult. It just has a special place in my heart. But more recently, I just finished Heartless Hunter, and that was a very nice read for me. I loved it.
We haven't read that yet. It's on our list.
It's so great. It's so great.
Well, that's good to hear. We
Mhm.
have so many things on our list. I mean, I have a bunch of books here that I haven't even read yet. So,
Same. I have a TBR that is getting rather long.
yeah, it's bad, but it's fine. There's always more to read. There's always more people to meet, and there's always more worlds to discover. So,
That was
Mhm.
very philosophical.
you're welcome. That was a smart person comment for the episode. I always only have one.
Out of like all the different tropes, and this is kind of like a wide range open question, but what trope would you rather live through? Like a forced proximity and enemies to lovers, like slow burn, like
I would probably want to live through enemies to lovers. Either that one or a rivals to lovers could be interesting to live through.
Oh,
I think
Mhm.
enemies to lovers for me too.
Yeah.
listen. If a slow burn is slow burning for too long, I don't want it. But I want the slow burn.
Yeah, and I think it blows my mind if it's burning for too long. It's like, okay, what is happening here?
Books have them like throughout the series. Like the whole series is kind of a slow burn. I wouldn't survive.
Yeah, no, there was a series we read where the people didn't even kiss the book too, and they were slow burning the whole time. And I was like, what?
Oh my gosh. I couldn't survive. I needed something to keep me going. I need like dopamine, something.
Yes. Yup. Yeah.
Adrenaline.
Yeah. Something to get the heart pumping. Well, yeah, I mean, I would have to say enemies to lovers too, because that's just, we love the morally gray men.
Yeah.
We just do. We just love them. Well, this has been amazing. And just thank you so much for letting us pick your brain.
Mhm.
It's been so much fun to just be able to like learn about your writing process and learn a little bit more about the Divine Draft, because we both were very intrigued by it and just like the idea and how it came about. So I'm glad that we were able to like sit down and talk with you. We will definitely want to make some book 2 releases,
Yes.
because we'll probably have to talk about it. We will be probably distraught waiting for book 3. Is there anything else that you would want to say just about the Divine Draft or about this series to get our listeners or new readers intrigued?
No, there's nothing I would say. It is on sale on my author shop on my website. It's on sale for $2.99, the ebook. But other than that, there's nothing more to say, like story-wise. I feel like we kind of danced around spoilers and plot twists. But yeah, that was the only thing.
Yeah. So is that the only way for readers to get the book, or do you have it in like Amazon or Barnes and Noble or anything?
Yeah, it is available everywhere, but I focus mainly on my direct store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Listeners, please, if you have not, go get the Divine Draft, read it, and let us know what you think, how you think it's going to continue. We have a lot of thoughts. Once the series is finished, we'll probably do a whole deep dive into the entire series and how we felt. But we don't want to put out any spoilers there yet.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It was so much fun. We will be in touch. Of course, we will be destroyed after book 2, so you'll be hearing from us.
Yeah, I can't wait to be back.
Yeah, we're super excited. Well, this was Reading Between the Lines. Thank you so much for listening. Just quick for everybody to know, this is our last episode in season 1. So we are taking a break the month of April to kind of get ourselves together, I guess is the best way to put it. And we're going to come back in the summer, come back with really new, exciting things. And it'll be season 2, because it'll officially be a year that we've had the podcast. So thank you, everybody, for supported us, and Chantal for even being an author that we can have on to help us grow. This is awesome. So yeah, look forward to that. Go back. Lots of episodes you can listen to while we're gone forever. There's lots. You have options. So thank you so much for joining us. This is Reading Between the Lines. We will see you in a month.